Hey you. Yes, you. Have you committed a horrible, unforgivable sin and are interested in rehabilitation and forgiveness? If so, come on down and stay at our new resort, the Would-Be Motel. We have group therapy, bonding exercises, a bar, television, and Wi-Fi. Here we believe anyone can be redeemed, such as arsonists, gang members, murderers, alcoholics, gay people. Wait, that's not right. If you've been on the internet at all, then you've probably heard of Hazbin Hotel. If you have or haven't, or don't know what that is, allow me to tell you. Hazbin Hotel is an animated adult cartoon created by Vivian Madrano, also known by her online alias, Vivzipop. It is about the daughter and princess of hell opening a rehab hotel for sinners who want to be redeemed and earn the way into heaven. Sounds cool, right? Well, it is. It's a fun concept, and I love it. Would I recommend you watch the show? Well, no. Hazbin Hotel has a lot of great concepts, but they are all executed pretty badly, or just not handled appropriately and respectfully. It's messy, confusing, and infuriating, at least in my honest opinion. So I wanted to take the already established plot and general ideas of Hazbin Hotel and modify it. An AU, essentially. Welcome to Hazbin Hotel Rewritten, or the name I've given it, Would-Be Motel. Get it? Do you get it? The plot will remain the same. The main differences are the designs, the characters, and their relationships with one another. My goal was to keep them as faithful as possible, but make them more distinct from one another, to make them more animation friendly, and to make them be less rad. I am mostly going to talk about my thought process and decisions on redesigning these characters, elaborate on how I had to write this story and these characters and concepts, and explain my thoughts and opinions on the original show. Disclaimer, I am not claiming this as my own work and my own creation, because they're not. All characters and concepts rightfully belong to Vivzipop. This is ultimately fan work. But I'm also not going to lie to you and say this isn't just for fun. It was fun doing these designs and drawing these characters. The art style is very fun to draw in. I love designing characters and I love drawing, but at its core, this is a critique of the show. I have watched the show twice now. The first time was just a hate watch, but unfortunately there are a lot of aspects of the show I do like. The concept is fun, the animation is good, and the songs are good. The voice acting is good. I fell for its trap, and I have a lot of respect for the show in the way that it started out as someone's webcomic to an animated pilot to an actual full-on show on a huge streaming service. That's a huge accomplishment, and huge props and congrats to Vivzipop for achieving that. As a fellow artist and animator, I hope to one day be able to achieve the same things. I have the same ambitions and dreams. I went to college. This is about Hazbin Hotel, a show that I have very mixed feelings on. There are things I like about it and things I hate about it, and I have very mixed feelings about the creator. But besides all that, I can see the potential this show has. I wanted to give a stab at my own interpretation of this specific show. I can't take the concept and make it my own because that would be blatant copyright and plagiarism. So instead, I'm making an alternate universe. I'm rewriting it. I'm changing it, but keeping it as faithful as possible to Vivzipop's original version. Final round of disclaimers. First off, huge spoilers for Hazbin Hotel, of course. And secondly, I can't promise you I won't be harsh with my critiques. I'm going to be honest about my thoughts, nicely or not, and I'm warning you now. And third disclaimer, do not harass anyone in the comments, do not harass me, and do not harass anyone that is mentioned in this video. And if you're going to get into discourse, do so respectfully, please. I can't control you and I can't tell you what to do. I can only ask you to think before you do anything. And now, finally, welcome to Hazbin Hotel Rewritten. I had first written out a summary of the show's plot, but it got way too long. I figured if you're watching this video, then you most likely already know the plot of the show and don't really need it explained. If you're not familiar with the further details of the plot, then I recommend quickly looking into it before continuing the video so you're not too confused when watching this. A majority of the story is going to remain the same, but like I said, I wanted it to be as faithful to the original as possible, just with a couple of modifications. The dynamics, designs, and relationships are what's different. I had drawn the characters in order of favorites first, so I will discuss the characters in the same order that I drew them. I drew them in Procreate, and I did it pretty weirdly. I had made one drawing, but then I didn't like it, and then wanted to make another drawing more faithful to the actual designs, and then I drew the characters in a weird order on a weird canvas. Lots of resizing and moving around. It's a mess. I'm a mess. Apologies for the shoddy editing. I will do my best. I am still new to this. Let's begin for real this time. The first character is Alistair, the radio demon. He is the alleged strongest sinner in hell. He's a radio show host and a mysterious entity appearing out of nowhere one day and targeting all the top overlords and broadcasting their screams over the radio. He's played up as this terrifying demon whose name strikes fear into everyone's sinful souls. What they don't know is that he's a fraud, and it's infuriating. You can't make everyone talk about how he's so scary and evil and dangerous, and then have him get one shot and break his staff when he stands up to an archangel. I mean, I guess he's the strongest sinner in hell and not in heaven, so I guess it sort of makes sense. But they never really say that and lead you to believe he's just strong as hell. Pun not intended. He's always showing off his powers and intimidating people, but they're always just other sinners who are weaker than him. But once he fights someone equal to him, he fails. What a bum. But I can make him not a loser. And here's how. He keeps his smug smile and prick attitude, but he does so in a smart way, you know? Where he's 5 steps ahead of everyone. He's kind of like that in the show already, but he's written so pathetically it just doesn't work very well. He's just a Tumblr sexy man that tries to be edgy and cool. He kind of was one of the originals, though, being created and posted on Tumblr in 2014, so I guess I can respect him in that aspect a bit, but only that. I like his character, unfortunately, because he is a bit corny in a charming way, but again, he's also majorly pathetic. By the way, did you know there's a Hazbin Hotel email in Fortnite? Amazing. Anyway, in Season 2, we learned he didn't even earn his power, nor did he practice his craft or anything. He just asked for it by making a deal with Rosie in a demonic ritual when he was alive. So he's confirmed to be a major fraud who talks the talk but can't walk the walk. Loser! If he had actually earned his power but still made a deal with someone and gave away his soul to them, then that'd be cool as hell. But he didn't. It's not as cool if he asked to be OP. That's so lame. I hate him. Anyway, about his design. His design stays mostly the same. I think the red color palette looks good on him. I just made it a bit darker and changed a few colors here and there. I also gave him curly hair to match the same hair he had when he was alive and human. I mildly changed his skin tone to better fit the darker reds, and I changed the colors of his eyes, hair, and ears as well. His fuck-ass bob is also gone because that was just terrible. He has more prominent antlers now and a deer tail and a vague deer nose. His staff now resembles a 1920s microphone with the center design being a pentagram, and the top of it having antlers matching his. He keeps his radio voice because, of course, that's probably the only cool thing about him. He's still a smug menace who actually earned his power and title of most powerful sinner in hell, though. He still lived and died in the 1920s with the same death. He wasn't a cannibal or a murderer in my AU, though. He's just a guy who's really interested in witchcraft and magic. Not voodoo, by the way. His soul does still belong to Rosie, however, because he was young and stupid and just wanted more power than he already had. He continued to perfect his craft and sold his soul away to Rosie to unlock more kinds of magic and sorcery. He still becomes a name to be feared, but with deep insecurity, keeping the secret that his soul belongs to someone else. No other soul knows, and anyone who finds out is never seen or heard of again. I should also mention the controversy Alistair's character has. The use of voodoo is heavily criticized, and the general opinion is that it either shouldn't be used in the show or should be written better. As someone not part of that religion or practice, I do not believe it is my place to do so either, so I will simply change it to something more broad or something much more open. He will remain Creole, of course, just no more voodoo. Witchcraft is heavily capitalized and normalized at this point that I feel like it's not a huge issue unless you try to write about a very specific type of witchcraft and paganism. But that's a whole other topic in of itself. Anyway, back to Alistair. He is still a loner who believes he needs nobody but himself, but as he spends more time in the hotel and around Charlie, he starts to realize he has been wrong this whole time. Working with others doesn't make you weak. Creating relationships and friendships with people isn't a weakness. Togetherness makes you strong. Alistair's character art would be just that. And that about wraps up Alistair. On to the next character. Charlie Morningstar, daughter of Lucifer Morningstar, the king of hell. She is the main character. She founded the Hazbin, or Happy Hotel, a rehabilitation center poised as a hotel to promote and encourage sinners to find redemption and get into heaven. The would-be motel. Whatever, you get the idea. She founded it because of her mom, Lilith, who had the same beliefs. Charlie is a bubbly and optimistic person, sometimes too much for her own good. I would keep her personality about the same, but a lot more grounded and a lot more collected. She is a princess after all, and tries her best to maintain her image. She's still pretty clumsy and oblivious due to being rich and royalty, and is sometimes a bit insensitive without realizing it. She means well, but she was raised in such a way that she has to learn class consciousness and the reality that most civilians live. She's like a rich girl who goes to college and realizes not everyone's parents pay for their tuition out of pocket and owns 2 houses and goes on vacation abroad every summer. She begins to understand her privilege and starts to despise the 1%, essentially. Her relationship with their parents are mostly the same. Lilith left for unknown reasons, and Lucifer is a deadbeat dad. Charlie still calls her mom every day and hopes she'll pick up, and she has resentment for her dad for giving up on her when she got old enough to handle herself. Her relationship with their father would take more than one season to repair instead of it taking one episode and one song like it does in the show, because they deserve to have this explored for more than that. I honestly really like Charlie's design. I think she's super cute. Her pilot design is also pretty cute, but is much softer on the eyes. So I tried combining the two. It's mostly still the same as her final design, just with the colors of the pilot design. Her top is now the pink-red color, and her pants are the dark red-gray color. Her pupils are no longer bright red and are now just plain black. The common design for Satan and the devil is a goat. So she has goat ears and tail and visible horns now because I wanted her to have more devilish aspects to her. She keeps her bright red cheeks though because they make her look cute. Charlie only gets minor changes, most of them just being color changes because she's honestly a decently designed character and is very cute. I like her design, she's good. When drawing and designing the characters, I kept thinking a lot about tangents. I remember seeing an art advice post about how you should watch your tangents and it kind of stuck with me. You don't really need to worry about tangents when drawing, to be honest, especially if it's part of your art style, but it was something I was doing when making these drawings and I thought it helped and I had fun doing that. Another thing in my AU that I think I should mention now instead of later is that in my AU, Alistair and Charlie get together. Before you come for me, let me explain myself. I think Alistair and Charlie have better chemistry than Vaggie and Charlie do. In my AU, Charlie and Alistair get off on the wrong foot, where Alistair only has ulterior motives to get closer to Lucifer because he's hungry for power and intimidation. And Charlie doesn't like him because of his reputation and thinks he will be a bad influence for her hotel and her message. They bicker a lot, but the more time they spend together, they start to like each other. Alistair becomes more understanding, and he even begins to start to believe in redemption. Charlie begins to understand that her high position as princess has blinded her to the reality that not every sinner is bad, nor have they all committed atrocities. It's a slow burn, and they are both grown-ass adults, and hell, no, Alistair doesn't view Charlie as a daughter. He only did that shit to fuck with Lucifer. And I'm well aware Alistair is a rather controversial ship in the fandom, but it's definitely not the worst one. Anyway, my explanation for why Charlie and Vaggie aren't together is simple. The show begins with them together, but as things challenge their relationship, they realize the relationship may not be the most healthy for them. They're both codependent on one another, and it's not working out. They would split up on good terms and remain friends. I go a bit more into this later in Vaggie's section of the video. After thinking about this and going around editing the script, I'm now actually struggling to figure out if I should make Chaggy or Charlister endgame because I think they're both good. But I don't know. It depends on the day which one I prefer, I guess. Maybe I'll compromise and have neither happen or both happen. Charlie has 2 hands. I think they can make it work, but I think I'll ultimately end up with Charlister because I just think they're cuter. Sorry. Tangent incoming. I wanted to talk about Lilith in this section. I didn't really make a design for her because anything I would design I would want to keep for myself, for my own OC stories and stuff, so I left her alone. Her disappearance would remain mostly mysterious. I don't entirely know the lore behind Lilith in the actual Hazbin lore, so I don't know how similar my ideas would be to the actual show, but in my AU, I'd make her vengeful and angry at heaven for their hypocritical and misogynistic views. I would put both Lilith and Eve in hell, and they both would have the same anger and resentment towards heaven, and they team up and confront or even try to take over heaven for basically blaming them for creating and committing the first sins. Adam and the men don't get as much blame and are basically just pardoned just because they're men, and they're rightfully angry about that. So I would make them the antagonists in the final season of the show, as a way to confront the topic of misogyny both in religion and in real life. Also, Cain would be in hell because he killed Abel, of course, and I think he joined them to help send the message. And because he's salty, he ended up in hell. He's aware he literally killed his brother and murder is bad, but he's kind of a dick, so he's just annoyed. But this isn't about him, it's about Lilith and Eve. Misogyny is so ingrained in everything everywhere, how could you not talk about it and try to address it, especially in Christianity and Catholicism. I should also note that I don't actually know a lot about the Bible, and I should honestly read it so I can make even more epic and more accurate portrayals in my own stories. The Bible is rich in storytelling. I am not personally religious. I am a trans guy who grew up as a girl in this modern society, so I think I know a thing or two about misogyny. And don't even get me started in current politics, but that's not the point of this video. Point is, I think I would cook really hard with the idea of a Lilith and Eve team up to battle misogyny in heaven and hell. Put me in the writing room. Alright, Lilith tangent over, and that was also the end of Charlie's bit as well. Next character. Vox is the main face of the trio of the V's, the ringleader even. Vox is probably my favorite character, to be honest. He's genuinely really funny to me, and I know he's a generic object head character, but I can't lie, I'm a sucker for those most of the time. He's a smug, manipulative asshole who only cares about himself. Best kind of fictional asshole. He genuinely has aura, and his songs are all fire, and his voice actor is so good. Vox is really cool and one of the best characters in the show. I would keep his personality almost entirely untouched. I would, however, expand upon his character. I would change it so that he no longer cares solely about Alistair. He's so obsessed with him in the show, and I honestly really hate it. It gets old real fast. In my AU, I would still indeed make them have a pass with each other, old friends with a heated and awkward breakup. Vox would still ask Alistair to partner up with him, both because they work well together and because Vox had feelings for him, and Alistair would still reject him, leading Vox to spiral. Vox had been looked down on by everyone. Nobody believed him. Everyone thought he was weak mentally and physically, and Alistair's rejection would cause him to snap. Someone who he genuinely looked up to, someone he even liked romantically, was the final crack in his already shattering soul. He would lose it. He wouldn't become obsessed with Alistair. He still secretly admires him and still has some feelings for him, but nowhere near as much as he hates his guts. Their fallout led him to get bigger and stronger out of spite, to prove to not just Alistair, but to everyone that he is strong and he is powerful, and that working with others and having a team doesn't make you weak, it makes you strong. Alistair doesn't realize this until much later, but Vox learns this quickly, but his rage and pain blinds him to the point he doesn't realize he doesn't just need a team, he needs to work with them too. This is somewhat already part of his character in the actual show, but I feel like it's not as clear and is mostly played off as Vox trying to impress and one-up Alistair. But again, I hate how he's written to basically be obsessed with Alistair for weird, petty yaoi reasons. That is where the V's would begin to crumble. Not only would Vox get too focused on himself and his need to prove everyone wrong, but he would ditch the other V's and think they're just holding him back. He would find other overlords to work with, others who have similar beliefs and intentions as he would, and that is where he would grow to his most powerful. He's still a smug asshole, and he knows he's smarter than most people and can easily manipulate them and uses this as an advantage. He still works towards getting sinners on his side of the war, heaven versus hell. His takedown would still be his greed, his hunger for power. His rage would be his downfall. His defeat wouldn't be as petty and as dumb as it was in the show. He won't get decapitated by his loser rapist ex-boyfriend. He would instead climb his way to the top and crumble back down. He will collapse, and it will hurt him, and he will ultimately surrender. He will spend his time in jail or purgatory or whatever, thinking about what has led him here and how to get back up. Before I actually started putting together this video, I was on YouTube scrolling looking for videos to watch with my partner, and then we both came across a video about Hazbin Hotel and how they theorized that Vox could potentially be redeemed. We didn't actually watch the video, but it was in my feed. And, I said, if Vox got redeemed, I would be really surprised, honestly. And then my partner was like, well, no, actually, I think it'd be pretty cool if a villain of the show got redeemed later on. And I was like, you're right. Yeah, you're right. That would be pretty cool. And then I thought, wait, I can add that to my AU, because I don't know if that's what's going to actually happen in the show. But in my AU, I think it makes perfect sense because of the way that I have written Vox to be a broken character, and that his failure would lead him to realize that he could just be a better person. Maybe it's not too late. Maybe he's really bad at being bad and he should just try being good again. Who knows? That was a lot. I had just started typing shit and I kept going, but I love what I wrote. I think this is the best version of Vox, not to toot my own horn. I just think he has some underlying potential. As for his design, he would stay mostly the same. Still blue and still TV head. He keeps his hat and suit, but his suit is different. He has baggier pants now with stripes on the side to resemble his Electric V logo, matching his blazer. He wears a tie now instead of a bow tie and got rid of that striped vest. His suit tailcoat would be longer and his shoes would be brighter and more blue. Brighter. He no longer has heterochromia either because I thought it didn't really help with the design or make it more interesting, and that it'd just be easier to draw an anime without it. I didn't draw it here, but I think it'd be cute if he had a cute little dorsal fin on his back, since he has a lot of shark and ocean motifs. His shoes vaguely have a wave design to them, but it's more sharp than I had intended, so it could be interpreted as either waves or electricity. And he no longer has fangs. I'm not sure if he would ever open his mouth when he speaks, or if he would have a closed mouth. I think a closed mouth would be cool, and it opens when he gets more intense, but I think an open mouth works just as fine too. I've made him look a bit more robot-like too by just adding lines in his joints and neck and such, and he also keeps his long bright blue talons as well because I think they fit him really nicely. I also decided to keep that one streak on his screen because I think it's a nice little detail and it does resemble a scar. I guess a crack on his screen would get that across too, but I like it better if it's burned into his screen to resemble it, since he had a scar on his face there when he was alive too. I wouldn't keep him as a cult leader in his life. I think I'd make him some sort of tech nerd who fell into shark-infested waters with his Game Boy or something and got electrocuted and died with the sharks in the water. Something mobile so it makes sense as to how he had an electric device with him, maybe a faulty flip phone, maybe a motorized boat. I don't know, any of those could work, to be honest. As long as it involves water, sharks, and electrocution, we're good. And that's about all I have to say about Vox the goat. He has aura, he's funny, his songs are fire, and he isn't bright fucking red like everyone else and actually stands out when he's on the screen. Hail Vox Populi, the people's voice. Okay, next character. Husk is my second favorite character, I think. He's also another funny character, and I love how he doesn't really care about anything. For the most part, that is. I would keep his personality mostly the same. He's an older guy with a past filled with drinking and gambling, and he sold his soul away in a dumb game of gambling. And yes, his soul would still belong to Alistair. Husk is more of a tired man who has lived through many lives and has lots of stories to tell. He's exhausted from life in the afterlife, and just wants to drink all the time, since there's really nothing better for him to do. And I love Keith David. He's great. Love doing Princess and the Frog, and also an Amphibia, and also briefly a Nope. Nope is my favorite horror movie, by the way. I love it. I need a jean jacket Monster High School Lecture doll now. Anyway, I love Husk. I do really like his design, but I have my issues with it. Can you guess what? His design stays relatively the same though. He keeps the suit of cards motif, the wings, and even the same color palette. I have redesigned him many times, and none of the other colors I have tried ever really felt right other than his final design from the show. I had tried green, and different patterns of red, but none of them felt right, so I finally decided to just keep it as is, but tweak it a bit and make it more animation friendly, as in get rid of those goddamn spots on his wings. But I did keep the stripes because I think it looks nice and is a nice touch. I also changed the tuft on his tail to be more heart-shaped and to have matching stripes to match with his wings. He keeps his bow tie and suspenders, and even his top hat. I did, however, add 2 playing cards to them, which does add some more detail to his design, but it's nowhere near as bad as those wretched spots. He keeps his long eyebrows because I love them and I think they're cute. Same with the little hearts on his face and ears. I just think they're cute and they're not too difficult to keep up with. I had considered giving him a shirt, but since I wanted the staff's uniforms to be the same clothes, I tried that pink-red color on him. I didn't really think it fit him, so I then just left him shirtless. But then looking at it again, it felt weird having him not wear a uniform, so I went and added the shirt back. And after that, I decided to leave the shirt. The pink red really pops and it still fits his color scheme, and I still have an image of him shirtless to show the difference. And the big issue I have with Husk's design is that his voice does not match his design at all. If he had a different voice actor or a different voice entirely, I think it would fit, and I would like him way more. But Husk looking like this and sounding like that just makes me think of that one Omori voice claim video.
Be alone longer than I want if I leave now, so let's go.
So we played Among Us, but added
But his voice is great, and I love it, but this guy's an alcoholic and drinks all the time. He needs a beer belly, or some fat on him. Drinking alcohol won't necessarily make you fat, really, but if you drink all the time, then it probably will. I just feel like his design needs to be changed to better fit his voice. So in my redesign, he would be fat. He's fat, and he's a middle-aged man who's tired all the time. I don't really know how old he's supposed to be in the show, but in my AU, he's like 50 plus or something. Give that old man a gut. He died from alcohol poisoning, obviously. He was in some alleyway after losing another couple bucks at the casino, and he just keeps chugging that shit as he pets the stray cats around him. He eventually just spontaneously passes out there in the alleyway, and they find his body later with a cat curled up next to it. Kind of sad, really. It's honestly making me sad thinking about it. Let's move on. I think Husk is meant to be fat, and anything else is just wrong. He is not skin and bones like the entire rest of the cast. He is a big dude who drinks a 12-pack a day. I realized Husk is also kind of the only character I redesigned to be fat, and that makes me a hypocrite, which wasn't my intention. But at the same time, none of the other characters gave the vibes that they were destined to be fat either. Obviously, I tried making them not stick thin when drawing them, because we need some variety, but nobody else really felt like they'd have the same shape or build as Husk. So I'm going to hell for being a hypocrite, I guess. I mean, I'm not particularly thin person in real life, but I'm also not particularly fat either. I'm more of a weird in-between, if that makes any sense. I don't know, but regardless, I think it's safe to say Hazbin Hotel is lacking in fat characters. And another thing, Husk and Angel Dust are still a couple in my AU. I really don't care for their ship in canon though, because I see them more as a father-son relationship, which sounds crazy because they're written so blatantly as an endgame ship, but I just don't really like the way they're written. It comes off as forced and annoying to me. Like, honestly, you can remove the romance between them in the show, and they could probably pass off as a father figure and adoptive son trope. But there's also tons of flirting between them in the show, so it makes this possibility weird too. They will remain a couple in this AU. I just wanted to say that in another rewrite, I would totally remove all the flirting and romance between the two, and just make them begrudged father and adopted son. Don't tell me you don't see it. Anyway, to improve their relationship, I would change their dynamic dynamic a lot. For one thing, Angel Dust is now an adult man in his late 30s, and Husk is a middle-aged man in his late 50s. They have much more mature and philosophical conversations and bond more strongly with being losers since they both lived long enough to live a sad life. They will learn a lot about each other very quickly, and that one scene after Angel Dust's drag performance would have way more obvious tension. A gay trans man who's lived in a decent enough life, and an older queer cis man who never got to fully explore that part of himself in his life. Just imagine the old man Yowie, or half old man, I guess, since late 30s isn't old. It's more like middle-aged Yowie, I guess. Whatever, just imagine the potential it has. Alright, ship tangent over. Husk is a great character, and I love him. Give that old man a beer and a break. On to the next character in our roster. Sir Penge is another favorite of mine. He's one of those silly joke characters that actually come off as charming. I like his vibe, and I do enjoy a pathetic bad guy now and then. He's not really annoying either. He's tolerable and is actually written pretty decently. I do like his design for the most part. I would change his design to be less ugly though. He's fine for the most part, but there's also so much going on it's a mess. I'd keep his personality about the same, but in my AU, I think I'd make him just slightly different. He remains an inventor because who doesn't like steampunk dudes who invent stuff? And steampunk is cool, sometimes. He comes off as kinda childish in the show, just kinda awkward and annoying at times because he's like a grown adult. I mean, he's not stupid or anything, but sometimes the way he's written is just kind of too small bean for me. It gets better in season 2 though. He actually comes off as a person and an adult and not just a character that is babied by everyone. He's a grown man. Please stop babying him. He has this crush on Cherry Bomb that she doesn't reciprocate until the end of season 1, and he even bonds pretty well with Sarah. I would make Sarah be a mother figure to Penchus, to be honest. Yeah, he's a grown man, but Sarah's like an older adult woman, so they can still have that mother-son relationship. It just makes sense to me that way. As for his crush on Cherry Bomb, I would keep it a one-sided, short-lived crush. And that one bit in that one episode will be gone because it wasn't funny, and I hate it. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. I will probably just put a screenshot here so you know what I'm talking about. Goodbye, fourth ship that I hate that came out of nowhere and had no build-up whatsoever. I won't miss you. Sir Penchus deserves someone better. If I were to pair him up with an existing character, I'd make it Emily, to be honest. I think they have better chemistry and better potential. His backstory remained the same too. As for his death, he would die by a venomous snake bite because he died in the 1800s, so once he was basically a goner. They didn't have very good medicine or medical procedures at that time. At least it wasn't the plague. I kept his design relatively the same. I love his snake frills doubling as long hair, and I love his steampunk aesthetic, but he was pretty generic before, so I gave him an actual steampunk coat with tails, a poofy shirt, and a vest. And of course, less eyes because they were everywhere and they were a mess. I at least tried incorporating the eye motif into his scale patterns instead of it just being plastered everywhere on him in an incoherent pattern. I had considered removing the eye on his top hat, but decided to keep it. But I also decided that for the most part, it's close and hidden, and when he unveils his frill, the eye opens. A secret third or fourth eye. I also made his color palette more orange than yellow, but of course kept the yellows and got rid of the reds. I made the pattern on his frills resemble an eye, which was heavily inspired by one of the many designs by Mepity. Loved her video, by the way, you should give it a watch. The hidden eye and the snake frill was just so genius. I was genuinely blown away when I got to that part in the video. I was like, oh my god, of course. I love character design. Sir Penchus is a fun character and I love him. He's cute. Next character. Vaki is cool, and her design is neat, but I hate her name. They did that shit in season 2 where she was considering changing her name, and then they did absolutely nothing with it. Fuck off, dude. Her name is Aggie in my AU. Don't piss me off. So the rest of the video I'm going to call her as such. She will still be the same character, just a different name, and design of course, but only mildly. I like Aggie. She's badass and is basically a war criminal. I would keep her personality pretty much the same as well. She's tough, but sensitive. She's got muscle under her femininity. Aggie is a bit of an emo. She's sarcastic and crass and loves dark and morbid things. She can be dumb at times, but once she learns her mistakes, she makes sure to never make one again. She was a 20-something emo Latino when she was alive. She died during the 2010s while exploring a dump at night where she was electrocuted by a faulty lantern alongside a bunch of moths. Tragic. Anyway, she's cool to everyone because of her morbid personality, as well as her trauma from being an exorcist and has a hard time opening up to people. Anyone that isn't Charlie, that is, since she was the one who found her abandoned and hurt and helped her. They then would get together for some time, but eventually break it off because while they had a lot in common, Aggie only really fell for Charlie because of the fact that she saved her and healed her when she was injured. She developed these feelings as a culmination of only ever being abused by Adam and Lute during her time as an exorcist, and she never truly knew love or kindness. Charlie was the first person to show her true kindness, and she ended up falling for her. And Charlie liked her back too, but almost felt like she had to since she found and saved her, and felt like she had to give her this kind of attention, especially since she was a fallen angel, just like her father. They would realize being together romantically may not be healthy in the long run, and split up and remained as friends. She does still have some complicated feelings for Charlie though, and has a hard time dealing with them. her design would remain pretty similar as well. There would be some color differences, and the large red X on her eye would be removed, and instead she has an eye patch with an X on it, which bummed me out because I actually really like the bright red X, but it just didn't fit the design, and having it another color didn't really work out either. Her outfit is also different. She keeps the dark purple skirt and white shoes, but her top is now a blazer in the same color as Charlie's, because she's wearing a uniform. She wears leggings now instead of thigh-high socks. All of the staff of the hotel wear the same colors since it's their uniform, the colors being pink red, dark red gray, and white. Aggie's hair remains pretty much the same, only mildly different with a different shape. She also doesn't wear a large red bow anymore, and instead has antennae that stand up in the shape of a bow. Tangent. I have a problem with Aggie and every other Latino character. Disclaimer, I am Latino, so my opinions are justified, I think. Anyway, when the Latino characters get mad, they start cursing in Spanish, and that pisses me off. I mean, it's not like it never happens. People definitely do that. I sure do from time to time, but it's the fact that it's every character, and they do it every time. And another thing with Carmilla, I believe she's Spanish and not Latina, I think, but she still has that one guitar riff play every time she's on screen. I know Vizzy Pop is Latina herself, but so am I. You're allowed to poke fun at yourself, of course, but it gets a little tiring when the same stereotypes are applied to all the characters with shared traits and ethnicities. Just add some variety, I don't know. It's just a little ridiculous. I don't care if I sound like that one friend that's too woke, because I'm right. Whatever. Rant over. I like Aggie. She's cool. I just wish she had a different name in canon. Next character. Lute is another favorite character of mine. She's just the right amount of insane and emo, and she's a baddie, and I could fix her, or she could make me worse. Her design is probably one of the better designs in the show because of how simple it is. She's almost a perfect character to me. Her flaws are out of her control. She was a minor antagonist in season 1, and then had this epic song early in season 2 to build her up as an even bigger villain in season 2, and then the season ends with her doing nothing, and I know that she's allegedly going to be a bigger villain in season 3, but if that's the case, then Gravity should have happened at the end of season 2, not the beginning. Make it make sense. I love Gravity though. She attempts to try and fight the sinners, but quickly backs down when Abel confronts her, and it's stupid. I hate you, Abel. I don't like Abel's character. If I cared enough about him, I would have rewritten him too. I would just make him less annoying and less Smolbean. A lot of these characters share the same irritating flaws I've found. And Lute, my dear Lute, you're nothing but a victim of your show's writing. I will save you. I would keep Lute's personality pretty much the same. She's hot-headed, she's impulsive, and easily angered. And she's hot. She's general of the Exorcist army, answering to Adam, the head of the Exorcists. She would still be in love with Adam too, because it just makes sense. Also, Adam would still be a dick, but not to the insufferable amount that he is in the show. Bro does not need to be saying fuck and dick in every sentence he utters. Written by Vizzy Pop joke here. It's not a joke, by the way. This is actually how he and the show is written.
Fucking shit. Fucking her bitch. Fucking dick.
Anyway, she goes insane after Adam dies because she was in love with him and codependent. She vows vengeance on sinners and especially on Charlie. But there is something new. Let's backtrack. Remember Aggie? Remember she used to be an exorcist? Lute and Aggie knew each other. Not only did they know each other, but they loved each other. Yes, Aggie and Lute are exes. Toxic Yuri. They weren't just partners, they were lovers. They loved killing sinners together, but over time, Aggie began to see the real side of these exterminations. One year, when Lute and Aggie are going around killing sinners, Aggie freezes. She can't bring herself to continue this senseless massacre. She sees that sinners and demons are people with families and feelings, not mindless, murderous entities. Not all sinners have committed atrocities. She tries to reason with Lute and convince her that what they are doing is wrong. Lute is appalled at this because she can't fathom ever feeling any pity or sympathy for any sinner. She thinks they're all the same, and that they're in hell for a reason, that sinners and demons are inherently evil and cruel. They fight, they argue, and ultimately Lute overpowers her and stabs her eye out. Lute wasn't happy to do so, but she felt like it was her duty as general to put Aggie in her place. Aggie is left there to die, and Lute leaves. Both are in tears and are filled with the feeling of betrayal by a loved one. Lute assumes Aggie dies there, and is genuinely surprised to see her alive and well when Charlie and her come to heaven to speak with the officials of heaven. They share awkward and hurt glances toward one another, and behave as if they only vaguely knew of each other. Lute becomes jealous when she finds out the two are dating, and gets filled with rage. How could she now be dating the princess of hell? How could she betray her like that? Her rage is filled by this even more than before, and is even more determined to get back to killing sinners. In season 2, her spiral would be a result of losing the two people she loved most, Adam and Aggie. She seeks to avenge Adam, Kill Charlie and kill Aggie for good. I'm getting giddy just thinking about this. Like, ugh, imagine the potential of this shit actually happened. I'm getting upset at a false reality. It's hurting me. Working on this is hurting me. Also, Gravity is my favorite song so far. It is just so good. One of the redeeming qualities of Hazbin is that most of the songs are good, and the animators are really good at times too. I'll include a tier list of the songs at the end for fun. That's all for Lute. Please give Lute the right she deserves. Next character. Velvet is one of the V's. She's okay. I don't really care for Velvet. I don't like her voice, and I think she's annoying. Her voice can be tolerable at times, though, just not very often. Her outfits are pretty cool most of the time, though. I think maybe if she wasn't written to be so insufferable, like most characters in the show, I would like her more. Also, yes, I keep pronouncing her name as Velvet instead of Velvet. It just sounds like that's how that specific way of spelling it would be pronounced, okay? It sounds better anyway. I also didn't know she was supposed to be a doll until somewhat recently. Like, nothing about her design gets that across except for when she gets thrown off a building and shatters into pieces. And she's a witch apparently too. Velvet's personality would still be mostly the same. She's still a diva and she's obsessed with social media and fashion. It would just make her less annoying. I think she's more annoying in season 1 than she is in season 2, and this is mostly because of that song she sings, which I thought was ass and added nothing to the plot. Like, the time that song took up could have been used for literally anything else, or, you know, something more important. The V's aren't that present in the first season, and if they are, it's mostly Vox. Other than that, she's alright. At the time of writing this, I wasn't sure if she was ever alive at some point, but nothing in the Helloverse wiki says she was, so I guess she was born and raised in Hell. As for her design, I wanted to keep it pretty similar. I like her outfit, and I think it's really good. I kept the coat, the crop top, the belt, the earrings, and the flared pants. I removed the arm warmers, however, because they didn't really add much. The colors of her outfit remain the same because I thought they looked good on her, and they aren't too similar to the other reds in the show. Her eyes are pitch black with white irises now though. The bright red and white just weren't doing it for me. I made her doll joints more visible in this design as well, even drawing a jaw joint like you would see in a puppet. Just a little something to make it more clear that she is a doll of some kind. I also gave her a nose. She looked good without a nose, but I decided to keep it. Her hair is relatively the same, but the swirls in her hair are a bit different, and her pigtails are now afro puffs. Her hair isn't very textured in the show, but I try to make it appear a bit more textured and puffy. The swirls in her puffs are also more reminiscent of horns now. I had gone back and thought about giving her a witch hat since she is technically a witch, but I didn't want to change her design, so I tried adding a witch hat. I struggled with designing a witch hat that looked good with her outfit and hair, but nothing was working, so I just got rid of it. Maybe she doesn't advertise her witch powers and doesn't like witch attire. That makes enough sense for me. Velvet is cool for the most part, but that's kinda it. On to the next character. Nifty is an okay character. I do like her, but I wish she had more traits other than being a cute gremlin that loves to stab things. Like, if she were just some creature that likes stabbing things, then that'd be fine. Fucked up creature side characters are cool, but she's not. She's a grown adult woman in her 20s, I believe. I just wish she acted her age, or, you know, had an actual personality and depth to her character. She can remain violent and weird, but I would make her have more to her. She's always been a maid in life and in death, and that's all she really knew for a long time. She was alive during a time where women didn't have many opportunities, and she died young, so she missed out on a world where she would have. So her place at the hotel gives her more than just being a maid. She can do anything and everything. She has actual free will here in hell than she ever did in her life. She takes out a lot of her rage by stabbing things and excessively cleaning. And while she is still technically a maid, she is treated better here in the hotel than anywhere else she had worked. So she has a certain fondness of the hotel and everyone there. Her design would keep the main dress, of course, since it's her uniform. The color would be changed to pink red, however. I would also change her natural colors to blue, because we need less bright red in this cast, and Nifty feels like she'd rock blue. Her hairstyle remains the same, but she now has a cute bandana that matches her dress. I also gave her a ladybug shell, or wing compartment. I tried looking up what it's called, but I'm not getting any clear answers. Anyway, she's a ladybug now, because her Helloverse wiki page says she was originally going to have antennae, but they got removed, and people in the show tend to call her an insect or a pest, so I figured she must be an insect of some kind. And a ladybug just seemed right. Something small and cute. Sure, she's a blue ladybug, but who cares? Less red. Her eye becomes pure yellow now. She now gets antenna and little fangs to appear more bug-like. Welcome back, Buggy Nifty. Her design was pretty simple to begin with, so there wasn't much else to change. Nifty's a fun character who honestly just needs more to her, other than being crazy and violent. Next character. Angel Dust. I hate Angel Dust. I can't stand him. I don't like him. He's annoying and he's ugly. If he weren't a spider, but some weird, long, lanky creature, I'd be fine with that. But since he's a spider with little to no resemblance of any spider traits, he sucks. His personality also sucks. He's annoying and unfunny. His only personality is that he's gay and sucks dick and does drugs and gets beaten around by his bosses. I don't like him, and I don't like how he's written. So here's how I would write him. Angel Dust comes from a mafia family. He enjoyed it and is sadistic. He has violent tendencies and loves guns and drugs, but he also has a sensitive side. He's a gay man. He would secretly hook up with men. He's also older and trans in my AU. He's a grown adult gay trans man now, no longer a young, effeminate, cis gay man with an annoying personality. He's lived a fuller life and he has more experiences with sexuality and gender. Family was accepting of him, but not everyone in their town was, so he was closeted to the public. The men he would hook up with, he would meet at speakeasy gay bars. Not entirely sure if such a thing existed in real life, but for our sake here they do. One day he'll be wasted and in a ditch. He's not dead, at least not yet. He'll try to find his way home and stumble around. He'll continuously trip and fall into nearby brush. Spiderweb will be in the brush he fell into, and the spider will fall onto him. A venomous spider, of course. Out of instinct, the spider will bite him. He won't notice due to his state, and he'll eventually drop dead on the way home. He'll wake up in hell, confused at first, but will quickly embrace the insanity. He becomes an openly gay and trans sex worker and sells his soul away to his boss, Valentino. Their relationship used to be relatively normal at first, but after gaining ownership of his soul, Valentino's true side would begin to show. His life would get worse, and he'll get depressed and begin to abuse substances. He'll take out his anger and depression by going out and killing people from time to time, as well as getting wasted. It's a different kind of hell compared to the one he has at home. And his trauma and abuse is going to be taken much more seriously in this AU. He doesn't talk about it much at first, but as he spends more time in the hotel, he begins to open up more, and everyone tries to help him out of his situation, despite his refusal. He actually begins to believe in redemption, just not for himself. He wasn't innocent in life, and he knows that, but others were, and they deserve a second chance. He even starts to get better in the hotel, but every time he has to go back to Voxtech, he would unfortunately relapse. Ugh, that sounds so terrible and depressing, but it's good, it's fine. Angel Dust will remain a sleeper agent. It's an interesting twist, but it is completely out of left field. There's generally very little to no foreshadowing to this twist. They just dropped this random bomb that he's a spy, and I was shocked, but mostly upset because there wasn't any indication of it, and it would have been so much cooler if there were subtle hints at it to make the reveal more satisfying, but there isn't. So in my rewrite, I would slip in little hints that he has memory loss, constant headaches, and sneaks away often. He was started off as being hungover, hungry, or tired, without actually knowing the real reason he feels this way. Alright, tangent. I am not a victim of abuse or SA, so I don't have full authority to speak on these topics, but I do have a right to speak on it regardless. I do not like the way Angel Dust's abuse and SA is handled in the show. Angel Dust is the emotional and physical punching bag of the show. He gets tortured mentally and physically the most out of everyone else. I know characters getting constantly hurt as a joke aren't anything new, but this is a character who is actively going through very clear abuse. Angel Dust isn't a gag character for physical pain. He's a victim, and we are shown that half the time, but the other half, it's just for laughs. The first season actually handled this pretty decently, showing the reality of his life, but they don't really do that as much in the second season. In fact, they try to humanize his abuser, and that's just kind of weird. There is literally a gag of Valentino hitting Angel Dust in an abuse compilation, and it's played off as a joke. That's kind of fucked up. Angel Dust is literally being slapped and gagged and thrown around by his boss and essentially his owner, and they put slapstick comedy sound effects to it. It just gives me such a huge ick. It's gross. And I'm not going to get into the controversy regarding the one board artist with very niche interests, because that is an entire other mess. I just think Angel Dust should be handled by someone who can accurately and respectfully write such a tragic and sensitive story. Alright, tangent over. Angel Dust's design will be very reminiscent of his original design. He keeps his suit and gloves, but the colors are vaguely different. The suit remains pink and white striped, and his gloves are now a darker magenta. He also gets his little hat back, as well as he keeps his choker. I love how his legs are drawn, so I kept them like that. Instead of some ridiculous thigh-high boots, they are now just pants. And heels, but they blend in with the pants as a stylistic choice. He gets a thorax now, as well as more prominent fangs, because he needs more spider motifs. His hair shape remains the same, but I made it look more like hair on his head and gave it the illusion of fangs. His eyes remain asymmetrical, but I made his right eye have black pupils and left the hot pink pupil in his left eye. And of course, he keeps his chest fluff. His chest fluff is one of his main characteristics. I can't get rid of that. In his original design, it is much more fluffy and less prominent. So in my design, I kept his bust, but I made it fluffier. And that is about it for his design. I like Angel Dust's silhouette and wanted to keep that. But once you look into the silhouette, it becomes less interesting. And I wanted to make it such. I believe Angel Dust has the potential to be a very fun and tragic character. But that's all for him now. On to the next character. Cherry Bomb is an okay character. She would be more interesting if she wasn't like everyone else. I do like her though. I think the constant swearing and Bomb's and sadistic personality actually suit her the best, so she'll pretty much remain the same, but with a bit less swearing. She's Angel Dust's best friend, and honestly I really love their friendship. It's really sweet and a breath of fresh air compared to their romantic relationships. And no, there is no romance with Serpentius, because it was a major nothing burger. It could be cute in theory, the way it's kind of forced in the show makes it super boring to me. Sorry. That is actually all I can really say about her, because she doesn't really have anything else to her, and she's already decent enough of a character. Cherry's general design would remain the same, just executed differently. I like the idea of her design, but it's so messy and all over the place it becomes obnoxious. So obviously I made it less so. She keeps her spiky explosive hair, but she dyes it blonde with her pink roots showing. She's one of the characters who keeps the bright red in her design. Her crop top remains bright red, but now with 2 X's instead of 1. I'm not entirely sure what was going on in her design at first, if she was supposed to be wearing a skirt or leggings or pants or whatever the hell. Cherry's design was honestly a mess. So she now has short shorts with a flare at the end and her pockets stick out beneath, with torn leggings and matching red boots. I guess I could have kept her mismatching style, as she is a bit of a messy character, but the only mismatching thing I would add would be mismatching arm warmers, and I think her fingerless gloves work just fine. Her tattoos are not bright red anymore, and they are now gray. She remains a Cyclops of course, and her eye is now pink, and her X pupil is the same blonde color as her hair, and she keeps her freckles and fangs too. Cherry Bomb was a raver and party girl in her past life. She was reckless and cared more about having fun than worrying about things. Always getting wasted, hooking up with people, sometimes disregarding her friend's safety for her selfish need to have fun. But intellectually, she was very smart. She wanted to be an engineer and taught herself how to rebuild and repair radios and flip phones. Eventually, she got into chemistry and pyrotechnics as well. She would have gone to college to study these things, but life had other plans, so she taught herself in her free time. She learned how to make explosives and got super into it. She would build fog machines, spotlights, and turntables for her local rave and party scene. She was passionate about her work, but her work was also her ultimate end. It was simply a test run gone wrong. Now, in hell though, she sees it as an opportunity to reach her full potential. Cherry Bomb is a fun character. Her design is relatively simple and her personality was decent enough that it only really needed a few tweaks and a bit of expansion. And now on to the next character. Valentino. I hate Valentino. He's insufferable and incredibly unfunny and an abuser. He is honestly just really awful and I hate it every time he's on screen. He's written like an even worse version of Angel Dust. All he has on his mind is sex, and that's it. That is his only personality trait. He's a pimp that loves sex and he wants to make everyone his sex slave. I hate him. So how do I make this better? Simple. Tone it way down. Less annoying and less pervy and less weird. I would make it so that you see just how cruel he is more often while still showing that he is still a person. He's a known abuser, but the V's enable him and just let him get away with it. He's extremely perverted and degrades his clients and employees. He's still the annoying prick we know him as. He just doesn't continuously talk about sex and sluts and porn all the time. He's more classy about it. He's smart enough to know not to be too aggressive in public. He puts on a sophisticated and dumb persona to the public. Most of the abuse happens behind closed doors. Valentino wasn't much different in his past life. He definitely wasn't a pimp though. He was just some abusive bum who smoked and drank all the time. He has bad eyesight but refuses to wear glasses. He was a legend at weaponized incompetence. He'd play dumb around women to get them to do things for him, and they do because he's a conventionally attractive man. He doesn't do it as much with men because they know his tricks. He's his real self around men. One night he'll be out on his porch smoking, and a moth will fly around him, constantly bugging him. He'll get so angry he starts chasing it, trying to kill it. His rage and bad eyesight combined with the fact that it's nighttime will lead him out into the street where he will then get hit by a car. Good riddance. His design is alright, to be honest, but his build is kinda bad. It's the fact that he's drawn just like everyone else. He's skinny with an extremely snatched waist. Maybe it would work for him if everyone else wasn't built the exact same way. So I would simply make his silhouette wider to actually resemble him wearing a huge pimp coat. Made his coat purple instead of red, like a classic pimp, and because too many characters are already red. His hat gets shortened to be more of a fedora, less of a top hat, like a real pimp. The details remain the same, keeping the black and white stripes and heart motifs on his antenna, as well as the heart glasses and gold tooth. The antenna would now be symmetrical as well. I also gave him hair and facial hair. Alright, time for another tangent. Listen, you can write terrible characters that do terrible things, and you're allowed to like them. There are tons of problematic faves out there, such as Katra from She-Ra, Bill Cipher from Gravity Falls, Kuvira from Legend of Korra, and many more, just to name a few. But the problem with Valentino is that he isn't written as a terrible person you should dislike. He's so incredibly babied and treated like a sexy jokester, as abusive nature is played off as a joke most of the time. In the first season, it was handled much better, and it was clear he wasn't a good person with good intentions. Then in season 2, it's watered down, and now they're trying to make you feel bad for him because Vox isn't paying him any attention. Again, I must say, I'm not a victim of abuse or SA, but I still have a right to critique these things just from a moral standpoint. If Valentino were written respectively and seriously, and it wasn't written as someone you shouldn't like, then I think I would like him as a character, but he's not. He isn't written like a bad person that you should dislike. He's written like a sexy guy who makes dirty jokes all the time because he's silly and dirty jokes funny. And this isn't an exaggeration, by the way. I'm not hating just to hate. In an interview by Collider's Ladies Night, Dizzy Pop says that Valentino is more of a comedic character. And I got such an ick when I heard that. Like, what do you mean? Look, he can make an asshole character silly and funny and hot, and he can be enjoyable and it can work well. But this specific character is not just some asshole. He's an abuser and a rapist. And yes, this is a fictional character, but these kinds of people and these issues happen in real life, and people are going to feel a certain way about how it is portrayed in fiction. Everything about his character just comes off as insensitive. If you were just some jackass, then that'd be fine. If you were still an abusive bastard, but written more respectfully and less likable, then that would have worked too. But he just isn't. He's a freak and a pervert and objectifies everyone around him. If that isn't good enough for you, then maybe this is. On the Vox Tech website, an official and in-universe Hazbin Hotel website you can access, one of the pop-up ads is of Valentino holding a love potion, and the tagline says, "No consent? No problem." What? What? That's such an insane thing to make and publish as an official material. Like, even if his character was handled appropriately, I think this gag just isn't really funny at all. It's actually really insane to me. Like, holy shit, no way that's actually real. Like go ahead and brush it off as dark humor, or call me the friend that's too woke. I don't give a fuck. It's fucking weird. He's not a himbo, he's a rapist. And yes, I know, he's just a fictional character. I know he's not real. But you have to admit, it's fucking weird. Like, yes, it is that deep. It really is. It gives me the ick. Rape is a serious crime. It can seriously fuck someone up. And an unfortunate large number of rapists get away with it while their victims suffer with the trauma and pain for the rest of their lives. Some are even killed after the fact. And if you can't see how sensitive this all is, or you think people are antis, or simply just hate problematic characters, or just can't take a joke, or whatever reason you may have to ignore this shit, then I think you need to reevaluate yourself, to be honest. This shit is that serious, I'm afraid. Genuinely, everything about Valentino is just insufferable. He's annoying, he's not funny, he's abusive, he only cares about sex and porn and money and sexy people. Like, I get he's a pimp or whatever, but like, Jesus fucking Christ. The bit where they try to play it off like stop hitting Angel Dust in public, and he's like, I don't hit him, and then they play a compilation of every time, or maybe not every time, but clips of him hitting him, and he's like, you're obsessed with me. And that was really fucking stupid. I didn't like that. It wasn't funny, and I frankly want Valentino to kill himself on screen. Like, generally, everything, he only ever talks about sex, and that's his entire character. Oh my god, everything about him is awful. He's a terrible person. And do the writers know this? Are they aware of this? I don't really know, because they don't really seem to write him as if they know this. He's just like, oh, he's just a bad boy. No, he's not. He's a terrible, evil person. Another discourse has hit the tower. I was scrolling on Twitter, as any sane person would, and I came across a clip from the commentary from the DVDs that were recently released, and it was basically Vivzy and I don't know who else, I'm sorry. They were talking about how Valentino apparently doesn't know what the word consent means. Alright, man. Like, something new always has to come up that makes it hard to, give her the benefit of the doubt and maybe, oh, well, maybe we just haven't gotten to that part of his character, maybe it'll get better later. No, it won't. It won't. Another thing I wanted to mention that isn't necessarily about Valentino this time, wow, is that Vivzy cannot seem to take criticism at all. And like, as an artist, I know it's hard to take criticism sometimes. Like, trust me, I've been there, done that. But I wouldn't really take criticism the way that she does. There's just something about the way that she handles criticism, completely dismisses it and just dismisses it as being a hater and just hating her as a person and her show. And like, a lot of criticisms that I've seen and a lot of my own criticisms, I think come from like a genuine place. Like, no, I'm not like critiquing you because I don't like you. I'm critiquing you because I think you could definitely improve these things, and also because some of these things are just in very poor taste. I have seen posts of hers where she directly compares haters of her shows to MAGA, and I think that's kind of insane, because why would you think haters or antis, if we want to get to that level of terminally online lingo, why would you think they're anywhere near as deplorable as genuine bigots? It's just a little insane to me. I don't know. I've seen people say, oh, you only hate on her show because she's a woman and she's Latina and she's queer. Like, there's definitely people out there who critique media for those specific reasons. For example, any grown man that hates Star Wars because they introduced Rey. But that's not the same as what majority criticisms I see of the show are. I'm not seeing a lot of people critique the show because they don't like that it's created by a woman of color. They're critiquing it because it has genuine problems and could genuinely be improved a lot. But that's just my opinion on that specific ordeal. Call me too woke or not, I don't fucking know. I don't fucking care. I just wanted to bring that up, that it's just a little bit of an absurd comparison. And if you really want to take that route of saying people are hating the show because they hate that the show is created by a queer Latina woman, and you're gonna take me as one of those people, I will just reiterate right now that I am also a Latino queer trans mask. So this is friendly fire, I guess, if you really want to see it that way. I'm not trying to come off as condescending, but I don't know how else to get this point across as gently as I can without straight up just rambling and going crazy. But no, yeah, a lot of my critiques I think are pretty reasonable and definitely not from a place of misogyny or anything, and most people's critiques aren't. If you were to actually take the time to listen to real genuine critiques of the show, you would realize that is not where most of them are coming from. I have strong opinions about this show, and strong opinions about the creator. If you want to better understand why I have these opinions, then I recommend you watch these videos by A. Lamau, Akira O'Halloran, and Autistic Swag. Some of it is petty internet drama, some of it is old problems and controversies that have been long resolved, but some of it is recent and still are ongoing issues. People can change, and we shouldn't force a past version of someone onto them if they've already denounced their past actions. But with the internet, you can post something and forget it, and it can be dug out years later and used against you, no matter how long it's been or how different you are from now. It's unfair, to be honest. But even then, even if it's a long time and someone has changed drastically, it is ultimately up to you how you feel about them. That's just how it is. And I just think it's important to be informed and make your own opinions on creators based on your own research. I know watching someone else's videos about someone isn't necessarily research, but you can still form your own opinions regardless. And videos are just one of the ways we learn things now in this day and age of technology. The modern internet is a plague on humanity. I could go on, but I shouldn't. So that's it for Valentino. Next character, please. Rosie is an okay character. She's cute and I like her vibes and aesthetic. She's a cutie. There honestly isn't a lot I would change about her personality. I'm sure she has some ulterior motives and some secret identity, but I'm not sure what they are. So in my AU, I would just make her an overlord and that would be it. She's not secretly Eve or Lilith. She's Rosie, cannibal overlord who loves clothes and tea parties. Her wiki page says that she is a demon, so I guess she's just a demon who really likes the 1910s aesthetic. Perhaps to make this make sense, she would be a demon born in the 1910s. That works, I think. And yes, she still owns Alistair's soul. I would drag this plot line for a good few seasons, I think. Subtle hints that Alistair is not as powerful as he claims to be, that his soul belongs to someone else, and he follows orders from someone, and that someone being Rosie. She is one of the most powerful overlords. So how did Alistair lose his soul to her? Probably over something stupid. His ego got the best of him. Maybe he'll challenge her or something and fail miserably. Rosie is much stronger than him, and this would be because she is good friends with Lilith, so she learned a lot from her. Cool? Cool. Her design has the same problem as everyone else. Too much red, so I made her main color green. Her skin tone is more blue now as well. A vague blue-gray color. I would keep her design design relatively the same, but her dress no longer drags on the ground and has just a bit less details on the ends. Her hat would mostly stay the same and would even remain red, since red and green are complementary. The skull and bone can stay as well as the feathers, but the feathers will be smaller. There isn't much more to say about Rosie, to be honest. I like Rosie. That's kinda it. On to the next character. Emily is cute. I like her. Her naivety and obliviousness actually makes sense for her character as a young servant who has only ever known heaven and nothing else. She's literally just Charlie, but gray and in heaven. But it works for her. I wouldn't really change her character all that much other than making her just a bit less terminally optimistic. She only knows what she was taught, but she's old enough to see the nuances. I don't know how old she's supposed to be in the show, but I'd make her in her 20s, around the same age as Charlie. Young enough to still have so much hope, old enough to know that life is more complicated. She would keep her true thoughts and feelings to herself, afraid of what Sarah would think if she knew that Emily doubted heaven and their rules. Emily would be distraught and furious about the exterminations. She wouldn't know what to do with herself afterwards. She would have a breakdown, just sobbing and angry. She was already committed to helping Charlie, but now she's even more determined to help after this reveal. She doesn't really get to do this, however, because of the fact that there is now a massive shield surrounding heaven. Before heaven goes into lockdown, she quickly opens a portal to tell Charlie the Serpentius has been redeemed, but her visit would be short due to the lockdown. After this, she reluctantly goes along with Sarah's plans, seeing as there really isn't much else that she can do. There are no gift baskets this time around. Their plan is to go down to hell and apologize, but it goes horribly. They don't need pathetic gift baskets to royally fuck up. Emily grows more frustrated with heaven and Sarah, trying her all to find a way to help Charlie in both realms. And another thing, I would make Emily and Serpentius get together. I had mentioned this in my section about Serpentius, how if I were to put him in a relationship with anyone, it would be with Emily. And now that I'm here writing Emily's section, I think I would totally do that. I just think they'd be super cute together, balance each other out. Emily would keep Pentius grounded, and he would show her how to embrace her abrasiveness and the insanity of life. Amazing. Anyway, Emily's design is alright. I think she's really cute. The only things I really changed were minor, such as her eyelashes, eyes, and colors. Her hair is shorter and now with no gradient. She has brown skin now instead of that dreaded gray color. I gave her a petticoat beneath her dresses now as well. Less freckles, less gray. And I gave her a tooth cap because I think a tooth cap would really suit her character so well, just like how cute she is. The line work on her wings here is honestly kind of really bad, but I just didn't really care to fix it. Well, I don't usually try too hard to make my line work perfect because I think it shows my process better and it shows that a real person drew it, struggling to keep the line stable. Fuck generative AI. Support real artists. By the way, that's all for Emily. Next character. Carmilla is alright. She's an overlord who designs, makes, and sells weapons. That's cool, but that's also kinda all she has to her. I honestly wasn't going to bother with Carmilla at all, just because I didn't really care that much about her, but I kept contemplating it and decided to redesign her because honestly, what is going on here? I thought I could try something, and I know it's weird to go to Carmilla after Emily, but that's just the order I drew them in. Forgive me, please. This section is probably going to be the shortest, by the way, just because I don't have a lot to say about her, and since there isn't really a lot about her to begin with, I'm not entirely sure what I would change about her personality. She's still cautious and mainly concerned about her daughters. She's a very skilled fighter and a very talented dancer. She keeps a professional appearance and doesn't like resorting to violence unless she absolutely needs to. That is all there really is to her, to be honest. Again, I don't really care about her all that much, so I don't think it'll work on this section for too long. I would make her a less prominent character, I guess. That would be it. As for her design, I didn't know what to do. I liked the general idea of her design, but it was also a bit of a disaster. I struggled a lot with her design and kept redrawing it because nothing was working, which is why I almost didn't redesign her. I was struggling so hard trying to figure out how to fix her that I just finally gave in and just accepted whatever I ended up drawing. Her skirt was kind of reminiscent of a ninja star to me, but she's not really a ninja, so I just made it a long skirt. I liked her tall hair with the ribbons, but it was also a bit too tall, so I shortened it. She now has loose hair on both sides of her face instead of one. The masquerade mask pattern on her face remains as well, but I made it red instead of a dark gray. I also changed the colors of her eyes. The large hands remain as well since they're a unique part of her character. I did also give her pointed ears and a pointed tail as well to make her seem more demon-like, and so that her earrings aren't just attached to nothing. Now for her outfit, I kept some of the original ideas, such as her ballet shoes and ribbons. I also gave her a red corset and a frilly choker. I just think it looks nice. That is all I really have to say about Carmilla. Next character. Sarah is an alright character. I do like her. She's interesting and her arc and dilemmas are cool. I would keep her story and conflicts the same because there isn't really anything that bad about them. They work well and she's actually written pretty decently. I like how she wasn't innocent at all and actually approved of the exterminations and needed genuine convincing to learn that she's in the wrong and that killing people, no matter who they are, is wrong. She managed to change her close-minded beliefs for the better of not just heaven, but for everyone. A very simple character arc, but it worked and it was very good. Her character was pretty well written and there wasn't any part of her I didn't like. Congrats, Sarah. I didn't change much with her design either because I thought she was alright. Only minor changes again with the eyelashes, eye colors, dress design, and colors. I made her skin a dark brown instead of that awful ashy dark gray. Made her eyelashes much shorter and gave her less freckles. Her design is very strut, as in she has a very long neck and very long limbs, so I had shrunk her a bit. I wanted to keep her tall though, because that's an important character trait of hers, and I like when characters are noticeably taller than others. I made her hair less cluttered as well. I had tried various ways of styling her hair and how to draw it, but none of them were working for me, and I wanted to keep a resemblance of her original hair, so I kept it but simplified it. Her dress remains mostly the same, just a few new little details on her chest and sleeves. The line work on her wings are also kind of bad here, but again, I didn't care, and I think it adds a charm to the drawing overall. I think for both her and Emily, I would have their main and casual appearance only have one set of wings, so they can be easier to draw and animate. They would unfurl other wings for special occasions, important events, or for intimidation. I had considered changing the color palette of them too, but I also thought their colors were just fine and just needed a few tweaks. Overall, Sarah is an okay character, and I liked her. And now for our last character, Lucifer. Oh, Lucifer. What the hell did they do to you? I can't stand him. If he was anyone but Lucifer, I wouldn't mind. But no, he is the Lucifer, allegedly, but also not really. Like, honestly, what about this guy says I am Lucifer, the fallen angel, the devil from the Bible? Nothing. And that's the problem I have. He's dumb and stupid, and his design is lame, but he's quirky, and he likes ducks, and he has depression, so it's okay. Who cares? I see where Charlie gets it from. He could have been some overlord, to be honest, and that would have made it more sense as to why he's just some bum. His design is pretty reminiscent of a ringmaster of a circus, so imagine the design for that kind of character and not for Lucifer. It would work so much better. But no, he's Lucifer, and he's silly, and he's so spooky, and he looks like this. Don't piss me off. So to improve this, I made him a genuine loser. He's all washed up and depressed and is probably high all the time. He's been sad and angry for his entire existence, and his wife leaving him did not help him. After Lilith left, he basically gave up on parenting Charlie and did the bare minimum. Once she was old enough, he told her she was on her own, but that he would always be there for her. Charlie would be so mad at him and he just wouldn't notice. He spent his time gaming, binge watching, abusing substances, sleeping, and probably a lot of other things to keep him entertained. He's been hell for an eternity and he's done it all. He's tired now and just doing the same things over and over again for the rest of his existence. That would drive a man crazy, but he already went through his midlife crisis, so now he's just majorly depressed and empty inside. When Charlie reluctantly asks for his help at the hotel, he's very happy to do so, as it gives him something new to do. He's a bit too eager to help though, but also not eager enough. He tries to take the lead, but doesn't follow Charlie's orders very well. He thinks he's helping when he's really not. There is no random rivalry between him and Alistair, by the way. Lucifer would only be suspicious of him and his motives, and he would also notice that there is some strange tension between him and Charlie. Lucifer worries that Alistair is going to hurt her somehow, so he decides to talk to Charlie. He warns her that he may be untrustworthy. Lucifer would only be suspicious of him and his motives. Lucifer worries that Alistair is going to hurt her somehow, so he decides to talk to Charlie. He warns her that he may be untrustworthy, and leaves out the sneaking suspicion that he may have feelings for her as well, since that's not as important. Charlie would dismiss this and think he's being unfair to him since he's a powerful overlord with a bad rep. Lucifer backs off, but decides he's going to keep an eye on Alistair. He would still get captured by Vox, but not in a stupid way. Vox would think he's going to be easy to catch since he's a depressed loser now, but Lucifer puts up a fight when confronted. They have to throw everything they have at him because he is the strongest being in hell, but he's weaker now, and he hasn't fought this way in forever, so he loses the fight. He would suffer worse damage from Vox's machine and would need time to cover at the end of season 2. He isn't close to death, so it's not a cliffhanger, more like he's gonna be bedridden for a while. I tweaked his design a bit, changed a few colors, made his staff less stupid, and made him look more pathetic and disheveled. I did want to make it more obvious that this is Lucifer slash Satan slash the devil, but Satan is apparently an actual character in this universe, but what fucking ever. To make it more clear that he is the Lucifer, I really only gave him horns and goat motifs, which isn't a lot, I know, but again, my main goal was to keep the designs as faithful as possible. I would have given both him and Charlie horizontal eyes, to be honest, but I decided not to and thought they were just fine without them. I gave him longer hair, eye bags, wrinkles, and little ears and horns like Charlie. His red cheeks are still there, but they are now more pale as another detail to show his mental state. I also gave him a goatee. I didn't want to redesign him too much because then he'd be too reminiscent of my own Lucifer OC, and that's not what I want. I had to keep him faithful to the original. Keeps the suit, but it's now pale pink instead of white. His coat will now only have one chain instead of 4. His vest remains striped, but is vaguely different. His top hat will only have a crown now instead of a snake and apple. The snake is now on his staff, surrounding the apple on the top. He wears dress shoes now instead of boots, and no more poofy pants. I did like the poofy pants. With that kind of outfit, it was just not gonna work out. And that is all for Lucifer. Honestly, if I died and ended up in hell and this guy was my king, I would go insane and start killing people. The Hazbin Hotel wouldn't be able to help me. I think I understand why all the sinners in this show are like that now. And And that is all I have. We have reached the end of this video. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching my video. I really did have a lot of fun making this. It was a really fun project. I had fun drawing the characters, I had fun writing the script, and I will have fun editing it all together, I'm sure. Hazbin Hotel is a very flawed show, and yet it has so much potential to be so much better. But Hazbin Hotel isn't particularly special in that matter. I have to applaud and admire it for getting it this far. A young artist's characters and webcomic, then made into an animated pilot, to then being picked up by Amazon and A24 is an astounding accomplishment. That's incredible. It's such a huge win and so encouraging for indie creators, and it is so inspiring to young artists, and especially for women in the industry. I may have my quarrels with the show and with the creator, but I can at least admit how inspiring it is. Hazbin Hotel, despite all its flaws, is what broke the glass ceiling for animation. We have so many more animated pilots and short films out there now, and it's amazing. Now, to be fair, Hazbin Hotel wasn't the first one. Animated pilots and short films have always been a thing, but I believe Hazbin was the first of its kind to actually, make it. Smaller artists being discovered and getting the creation put into production isn't a new phenomenon either. The same has happened with comics, novels, video games, and other mediums. Hazbin was just the first of its kind, and now we have things like The Amazing Digital Circus, Lackadaisy, Smiling Friends, Pretty Pretty Please I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl, Wastelandia, Catching Up, and way more. Obviously, as a freak who has an animation degree, I am excited for the influx of animated pilots and short films. I want to make one of my own, god damn it. I just need to think of a plot and actually make it. That's gonna take a lot of work, but I'll do it, eventually. Hazbin Hotel is flawed, but despite its flaws, it was a huge stepping stone for smaller creators within the animation industry. A story that came from humble beginnings to being on a major streaming service. The legacy Hazbin Hotels left on the industry and on the internet is a messy one, but nothing is perfect. Draw your own conclusions on what you have been presented with and go from there. You're in charge of your feelings. If you made it this far, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. There isn't much else I can say that I haven't said already. The show is bad, the show is good. It's both bad and good. It's got catchy songs, great animation, shitty humor, shitty writing, lots of missed potential, interesting writing and creative decisions, and whatever the hell else I talked about. I don't really know how to end this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for indulging me, and I will hopefully see you all again soon. Bye!